And it's time for the King Clinic. Dr. Jeff King joins us here in Studio H, and he always tells us our topic, and we never have any idea what it means. And today, that is Schumann resonance. Did I say it right?
Perfect.
Schumann resonance.
That's right.
What the heck is that?
Schumann resonance is the energy emitted from an electrical field that the Earth creates. It's the magnetic field of the Earth.
Really?
And yeah, and we have a part in that. We actually have little crystals at certain parts in our body that are called magnetite crystals and respond to this energetic force. In fact, when we don't and it's disrupted, it's either too high or too low. When we vibrate to this resonance, disease
Is this what makes up our personal space or our aura?
No, it's in our body.
Oh, it's
actually,
inside.
like at the base of our skull, there's a bunch of muscles called the suboccipital muscles, and within these muscles have been found these magnetite crystals that vibrate.
Wow.
Fascinating, yeah. Now,
Can we feel that? No.
No, we can't feel that. But we can certainly feel it when it's not working right. That's called disease.
Ah.
Things begin to disrupt. So it's fascinating.
So how do you know if they're disrupted?
Disease is present. This is just one odd thing that I pulled out of the literature that I found. How does it fit into chiropractic, and how can I
Well, and how did
bring
someone find it to
something to
begin
you?
with? I mean, that sounds like...
Well, Schumann must have found it.
Well, yeah. Well, people have been studying the magnetic field of the Earth for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Conway, he was a medical doctor in the 50s and 60s, and he used to like to grow peach trees. And he'd set up these peach trees and grow them, and then he had electrical field, I guess they're conductors or something to measure electrical activity. And as they grew, the electrical activity increased, and as they died, it went away and it was gone. You see, so every living thing has energy. In fact, our bodies can create enough to power a 60-watt light bulb.
Really?
The total amount of electrical energy in your body. Now, we
So
believe...
where do you come into it?
Good. Good segue. Well, let me start by saying this. Our entire body, if we remove what we can see, which is bone, muscle, nerve, joint, organ, skin, whatever, the stuff that we can see through our eyes and our senses, and what we feel is matter. If we go subatomically, even further down, really all we are is water and crystals, ultimately, that vibrate and resonate. Everything is movement within our body, you see. Now, how does this translate to chiropractic? Well, if we can't move, then disease begins to ensue. Now, there are two sets of nervous systems now. This is brand new in science. We have the one that we can dissect a body and see, which is brain, spinal cord, nerve, right? Controls everything, our movements, our functions. Then we also have another one, and it's through this energetic field. It's faster, and every tissue needs energetic supply. It travels mostly across planes of tissue called fascia, like that skin on your chicken breast you pull off, and that weird connective tissue that's on it, like saran wrap,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, that stuff's called fascia, and that surrounds every tissue in our body. And now, a researcher found, he started observing his cat, and he slammed his book down, and this cat jumped a mile high, and it was so fast, they thought, it's impossible for that stimulus, the sound, to go into the nerve of his ear, into his brain, and then to process, right? Yeah. And then the signal would go back down to his muscles to jump, because it was instant, it was so fast. And he started thinking there must be another mechanism.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he got it with some other people and started researching this, and another woman Dr. Hunt, started researching movement. She studied movement in particular, especially movement in electrical fields. She got this professional dancer, ballet dancer, and like the guy with the electrodes on the tree, she hooked this lady up to electrodes. She wanted to see what her muscles were doing, electrical activity, right?
Because there wasn't a power surge.
Oh, yeah. Well, normal physiology says, okay, muscle contracts, that's all right. We know that happens and whatever. Well, she started dancing, and that was happening. She's like, okay, big deal. Now, after this dancer started warming up, all electrical activity in her muscles ceased. Yet she was dancing furiously, aerobically. Her heart rate dropped, and she was scratching her head saying, what is going on here? So she found that there must be another mechanism, which all leads to this. Ultimately, there's another control mechanism in our body It's energetic, and it has nothing to do with our bones, muscles, nerves, and joints.
And what is it?
That hold water and minerals, crystals.
But you don't know where it originates.
Vibrate. Well, if we take you apart down to the cellular level, right, and then look at you with an electron microscope, even smaller, we're talking about atoms and electrons and stuff. And that's what we see. That's all there is. There's water, space, and little crystals floating around, and they're all moving and
So
vibrating.
it's kind of one with the universe, and what you're saying, your body has to almost be in sync with the universe, and all this stuff has to be in alignment to have normal
Sure.
stasis, so to speak.
That's right. When movement is restricted, or energetic flow is restricted, the osteopaths have gotten into this, then disease occurs.
So like Karen was saying then, it's your function to help keep us in line with that?
Keep you in line, keep you mobile, keep the energy channels open. Sounds really flaky, but here's the research all over the place now.
You know, I wonder too, I'm thinking, you know how everybody says when you're talking about the cat, Dr. King, a lot of people say, well, my animal sensed the storm was coming, or my animal was in sync with an earthquake or something. I wonder if that isn't processing. It's got to process somewhere. And like you said, it doesn't make logical sense to have to take that time to process. So.
That's right.
And it's an innate reaction,
yes.
right?
Almost innate.
Right. Right. There are about 5 billion chemical reactions occurring in your body every few seconds.
So, but, okay, as a chiropractor, how do you know, if it is an innate reaction, how do you know whether what you're doing is affecting
Well,
that?
any time I find people that have restricted movement, say in a joint, a shoulder problem, most invariably they'll have numbness, tingling, and weakness starting to go into their hand. Now, mechanical thinking says, okay, those muscles are tightened down, the nerves that go through there are getting constricted, that's the reason why. Right? Start working with them, unravel it, so it moves better, that ceases. Okay. Well, what about, for example, I had one patient, actually it was my mother, had a growth on her wrist, and I didn't know what to do about that. I didn't do anything about that. She had shoulder problems. Started working on the shoulder problem and her neck, and that went away.
Wow.
Ooh.
So figure that out. So you start getting these odd clinical results, then you scratch your head, well, what has occurred? Certainly something more than just what I assume to have occurred.
And also, you've told us in the past that you may be there's a pain, I don't know, in your shoulder, but the cause of it could be down the bottom of your spine or something. I mean, how do you determine where you need to go in order to get to the symptoms?
Well, good. That's a tough decision, actually. Usually we start somewhere, mechanically. Low back screwed up. Okay. Then we'll assess everything that could possibly mess with that system. So we have low back, hips, knees, feet. Start there. That's a mechanical thing, right? Now, if we start having odd symptoms, like a referring pain or odd sensations through the body, then we'll start somewhere. The area of greatest complaint may be low back, upper back, neck, shoulders, you see. Wherever we find problems is where we start, and where we end up basically is necessitated by what the patient says to me, and the quality of their movement, the quality of their function. I always ask them, how do you feel today? How are you functioning? Never how you feel. How are you functioning? Then they'll tell you, well, this is odd, or I can't hold my coffee cup.
Because people will adjust to their pain, won't they? So if you say how you're feeling, they're like, oh, okay, because they've lived with it for 10 years or whatever, and
Sure.
they've made it part of themselves.
That's true, and things change. Symptoms change. Start working here, it hurts over here. So we start somewhere to get somewhere else.
All right.
I've got an internet search on Schumann resonance.
Excellent.
We're going online after this, Karen.
All right, tell people how they can get a hold of you, because this is going to generate some questions, I'm thinking.
Oh, we got lots of cool stuff for it. You can email me at kingclinic@aol.com, or you can call for a consultation, exam, if you want, at 641-0644.
Very good. Thank you
Great.
so much for coming in. We'll
Thank you.
see you next Tuesday.
Very good.
Dr. Jeff King in the King Clinic.